coming up on We Want to Believe. We'd wanted to return to Ashcroft.
Had some interesting disappearances. Everyone involved was shot.
Hello?
Stewart.
Stewart?
Thank you for watching We Want to Believe, and ask that if you enjoy our show, please subscribe to our channel right now, like this video, and click on the bell so you can be notified each time a new video goes up. Now back to the show. The We Want to Believe team has visited the historic village of Ashcroft, British Columbia, Canada before. On a cold and snowy weekend before Halloween in 2020, we were lured to the community by John W. Fair, who had some spooky ghost stories to share with us. He introduced us to the mayor, Barbara Roden, who told us some of the eerie tales and allowed us to investigate the village office, which used to be a hospital and is home to the spirit of a long-dead doctor, allegedly. We also investigated the local cemetery, where the spirits of 2 dead children are rumored to haunt. Our investigation proved quite successful, as we received intelligent answers to some of our questions via the spirit box.
What was that? George?
You heard George.
Is that Joe Samson?
And were even able to locate the potential graves of the 2 children. We were also intrigued by the many stories told to us about the region and the spirits said to roam it. One of these tales tells of the frightening specter of a Chinese woman who travelers sometimes encounter at night on the side of the Trans-Canada Highway just south of town. Another ghost, this one the spirit of a friendly cook, is said to haunt and occasionally bake ghostly bread in Hat Creek House, a historic stagecoach hotel situated 20 minutes north of Ashcroft on the Caribou Highway. We decided to return to Ashcroft again and explore some of the buildings alleged to have ghosts among the tenants. One of those buildings identified to us is the Village Museum, which is home to hundreds of artifacts from throughout the town's long history, which began during the gold rush of the 1800s. And it's in this place that We Want to Believe was able to investigate first. We'd wanted to return to Ashcroft since our previous adventure there on that cold weekend before Halloween in 2020. We'd had some interesting experiences in the cemetery and village office and heard about other potentially haunted locations in the community, one of them being the museum. We'd booked a time to visit the museum in early 2021, but the pandemic situation delayed our visit until late summer, when myself, Peter, Marcus, and Sarah drove out one afternoon. We were also joined by our previous guide, John W. Fair.
The whole 9 yards. That's awesome. He actually did bring us in.
Oh yeah. Sam Hall, is that probably just a residence? Private residence?
I think so. It looks like one. There's so much like in this town that's kind of questionable.
Can we come into your house and film?
They might be like, sure, yeah.
Come on in.
Pretty wild, eh?
Yeah, it was massive.
Hey, John.
We gotta get the documentary feel, man. Right. Thank you.
Oh, this place is going to be interesting.
Yeah. So have you guys already been here before?
No, this is the first all around.
Because it kept getting canceled, is that why? Oh.
Yeah, we didn't have the time when we came the last time to Ashcroft.
Oh, okay. So we're all virgins together.
We are.
Yeah.
The good news was that when we arrived, we had the whole museum to ourselves for a good couple of hours, so no interruptions from guests or patrons, anything like that, which is ideal for an investigation. The bad news is that despite what we'd been told, there had been no activity reported in the museum at all by guests or staff there. So that was a bit disappointing.
The museum itself, not a ton of stories there. Not the most interesting building, but we've had some interesting disappearances in town. And there's been a few. I remember there was one man. There was a bank robbery up in Kamloops, and the robbers were escaping downriver. And when they came through Ashcroft, there were a couple deputies that pulled over their boat. And what exactly happened isn't clear, but what is known is that everyone involved was shot. Some way or the other. It was everyone shot each other in the end of things.
That's a good way to go.
So technically, they did stop the robbers, get the money back, but might have not been the most efficient way to do things.
So there's been no kind of weird going on in here?
In the building itself, no. We have had some different ones throughout town.
Right.
Namely, I believe there's been some reports in the curling rink. A lot of people won't go in there alone anymore. The other one is I've heard some people talk about feeling or just sort of knowing someone else was in the building at the school. And then there's one more, but they're a private business and they don't really like the attention. But in the long story, there is definitely someone in there. There's been too many sightings.
Some interesting stories related to the town and even potentially some related to the objects themselves. So Peter decided that we're there. We had the time, we might as well break out the equipment, spirit box, etc. See if we could maybe pick up something attached to one of the artifacts or items in the museum. We toured the museum and we told some of the different stories about what came from where. All the while, Peter had his thermal camera out, seeing if he could pick anything up, but nothing did, which didn't set the tone pretty well from the beginning.
We had a hotel right down here, and they actually put it on skids and moved it over to the other side of the railroad so that they could get more business. And that's really the founding, sort of the lifeblood of early Ashcroft.
We then tried an EVP session and a spirit box session on the museum's main floor. There is sort of a main level and upstairs and then a basement. All right, we are at the museum. Excuse the mask, but the orders came back that we got to wear masks again, at least for now. But yeah, we've done a tour of the location. We're not quite sure what we're looking for. It's an old museum, lots of old artifacts. We're back in Ashcroft, so Ashcroft, of course, is quite the haunted history, so we're just going to see what we can tap into here. This beautiful location. John is back with us, so we're just going to set up, do some EVP sessions, spirit box sessions. We brought some thermal gear, just sort of see what we can find, and that's what we're here for. We want to believe, so we're going to see if we can find anything that convinces us we need to believe. The EVP session didn't bring much of anything forward at all. But we did pick up a woman's voice saying hello during the spirit box session. Sorry, Peter.
I could have ended in tears. Is that okay to put it on there?
No problem.
Is there anyone here that wants to say hello to us? Hello. Hello.
Hello. The most interesting part of that was that Peter had his thermal camera out. And he picked something up. He didn't think it, he saw it in a mirror.
Can you go back to where you were before, Jason?
Yeah.
Right, it was you.
It was me. It's like,
It screws me up with
in
the
the mirror.
I was like, why is that why is that picture glowing underneath your head?
And he asked me to kind of move around a bit. And it turned out that what he picked up wasn't a ghost, but it was just my heat signature in the mirror somehow, which was kind of interesting, just the thermal residue of that. We didn't pick up anything more downstairs, so we went upstairs and tried a spirit box session up there, moving around a bit. And we did get a woman's voice again, this time identifying I don't know who, but using the name Stewart.
A little predator vision.
Yeah. The nerd in me is very happy that Aliens Fire Team Elite just came out.
How many people do you see here? Who are you standing closer to? Was that? I'm gonna get the other thing up there.
Yeah.
I heard you say 6.
That's what I heard too, John.
So we wrapped up upstairs and headed into the basement, which is just loaded with all these artifacts. Like there's stuff that doesn't fit up to the main level at all.
I hate getting old.
Cheers.
I hate my level.
The heck? Oh, that's
My
one of
nan
the
used to have one of those.
old fangled hair dryers.
Yeah. Is there anyone down here that would like to step forward?
And this is where things got pretty interesting. It took a bit to warm up. Then we eventually got a continuous barrage of activity on the spirit box. We started off by asking if a woman was present, but then we eventually got a man's voice.
Shoot.
Shoot.
So we just started asking questions. There were these random words, but say, for example, the word hot came up. So we would ask a question, well, what's hot? And then the response was sun. And eventually, the man identified himself as Stewart, tying into the name we'd heard upstairs from the woman.
What is your name? Can you give us your name? Stewart.
Stewart? Yeah.
Are you from Ashcroft, Stewart? Do you live in Ashcroft? Do you live in Ashcroft?
The activity eventually died off after about 15 or 20 minutes or so. So we decided we were going to wrap up there. We hadn't got much.
That was interesting.
Snacks would be the ghosts in our stomachs, right?
It could be a snacks. It's like, we're all hungry.
Who knows what we're saying?
We wanted then to go back to the gold panning spot we had visited previously when we were in Ashcroft.
Your cars are.
This is where...
No, you gotta go way down.
At least it wasn't cold like it was the last time, but the exact spot we were at before was occupied by bathers and people fishing because it was the heat of summer. So we moved a little bit down
Over there.
the river and broke out the spirit box, but nothing happened.
What's the plan, fearless leader?
Can you give us your name, please?
It was a bit of a letdown, the whole investigation, honestly, given that the location didn't have much, was not supposed to have any activity at all, which we'd been told it had. But we're happy we got something anyway. Who is Stewart? We're not sure, but we'll investigate his potential identity further and what happened to him. We're also sure, given its rich history, that we will return to Ashcroft once again.